All right, cool. Reno here. What's going on, people? So let's talk about what we know so far about the story, yeah? Righteous Warriors, Battles in Babylon, yeah? So, Oze, one of the main characters, is an ex-military soldier, okay? He basically was in the military for a number of years. Originally, he is from Jamaica. He did soldier training in Jamaica and then eventually moved over to the US because of his talents and got something similar to like a scholarship out there. He got some sort of special grant to go out there. So anyway, during his military years, he excelled amazing as a soldier. He got promoted to the rank of general in the Special Ops Forces and he commanded his own team. Problem with him is that Oze wasn't the best at instructing and commanding the team to work efficiently. Oze is more of a lone soldier, not really good at, uplifting a team and things like that. He more just excels as a very, very good soldier. But he was pushed to be, part of a team because of his amazing abilities. Now, what happens with Oze is that eventually both his team and people around him begin to resent him and get jealous as well. There's like jealousy and envy there. Now, the reason for this is because Oze is a soldier who likes to use a katana in battle. He prefers this as his means of a main weapon. Now, this is a very, of course, strange thing to have in the military. As you know, you're trained to use, guns or rifles, possibly pistols, these types of things. So, I know that obviously in military, you obviously use combat knives, but not, you literally use a Japanese style katana as your main source of weapon. And that's kind of the thing which he actually requested for when he got into the military, when he was doing his training. Is like, he needs an instructor to first train him and to, of course, get a Japanese style katana as his main source of weaponry. His instructor is named Hayato. He'll be introduced in the military years as well. So anyway, moving forward. So we've got Oze, like I said. He's currently a military soldier, general, uses a Japanese style katana as his main weapon, right? And his team and the people in the military, there's people that are not happy with this. It's not everyone, but it's like quite a lot of people are not happy with the fact that he uses this sword as his main weapon. It's almost like he's making a mockery of the military. I mean, how can you, come into battle bringing a sword to a gunfight, which is what is the, what do you call it again? The actual missions that he will go on, all of the wars are going to be involved with weaponry, most of the time involving guns. So they see this as a mockery, an insult. And even though they see it as an insult, he excels in it because of just the admiration he has for wanting to be a swordsman from all the way back when he was in Jamaica. At some point, I will maybe go back even further to when he was a child and talk a bit about like his obsession with, swords and katanas and those things, because it goes all the way back till then, which is why he has this obsession with katanas, right? So, but don't get me wrong, he does know how to use standard, military weaponry like rifles and pistols. He actually has a pistol on the side of his leg for distractions. Before he goes in for the kill with the katana. So anyway, people start to resent him. At this point, he's at the height of his career. He's getting military achievements. And the more achievements he gets, the more people again start to resent him for it, because they feel that, well, I've gone into the battlefield and I've done everything you've told me to do, but this guy is coming over here and making a mockery of all of our training, and he gets specialized training in his own right. We don't get none of that. So everyone starts comparing themselves to him in a way, and all of his fellow soldier friends not happy with him at all. So he ends up being a bit of a lone soldier, both in battle and outside of battle. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some people that, of course, support his cause, who admire him for what he does. One of them is going to be a lady by the name of Michaela, and Michaela. Yeah, sorry, all over the place. So Michaela, she's going to be introduced a bit further on in the story, but her roots connect back to Ozai. Anyway, so where are we? So Ozai's just completed a mission. You'll see in the pages, which I'll show you on the back of like my head, you're seeing the mission. Sorry, you're seeing the mission. The mission that he's gone on. That his soldiers are like, making fun of him. They're not happy with. They're not happy with him deep down, but they still got to work with him, right? So that doesn't really faze Ozai, to be honest, that much, because he's a very like kind of, I guess you could say, a bit one-track minded in a way. He's very focused on his goal, his mission to be a fine, upstanding soldier, and fight for his country. Well, second country, of course, US. So, that's his thing. Now, what happens is that due to the animosity building, because of everyone being either jealous or resenting him, soldiers start talking behind his back and saying that something needs to be done about this because they're unhappy. Now, who catches wind of this is one of the military leaders, or one of the political military figures, who is by the name of Ray Johnson. And what Ray Johnson does is that he starts to realize the potential problem with Ozai as well. And he also sees it as an opportunity to potentially further advance his status, So he starts conducting a little bit of a plan, to find a way to frame Ozai, right? So he starts devising this plan. He speaks to his other military leaders about it. There are some that aren't really in agreement with him, like William Armstrong, which is one of the is held as one of the best military heroes that are still alive to this day in the military. Very massive veteran hero, and he really sympathizes with Ozai because he sees a lot of himself in him. He sees Ozai as like a young, exceptional talent that can do very, very well. But however, not everyone agrees, like Ray Johnson, who doesn't really care about Ozai's talent per se. He more cares about his own interests and what he can do to advance himself. He sees it as Ray Johnson sees it as a means to, to gain more trust of all of his soldiers and things, and gain more, people under his wing. And that part I'm not going to really reveal right now, but in the future, when Ozai goes through the time skip, you'll understand more about why that happened the way it does, right? So anyway, they devise a plan to betray Ozai, or frame him, And there was also a sergeant who Ray Johnson didn't like as well, so we got that same sergeant to be a part of his plot or his plan to get rid of basically two people with one stone, right? So anyway, Jose goes out on a mission as normal to basically, because he's involved in wars and stuff like that with neighboring countries. He does what he normally does. Now, this is a mistake that Jose makes, is that he kind of rushes headfirst in the battlefield and he doesn't really command his team, which can easily obviously get them killed, and kind of has done in the past as well. So he rushes off. His plan usually when he jumps out onto the battlefield is to focus on the commander. Because as you know, in any kind of military strategy, once you take out the commander, all of the rest of the troops will fall. And this has worked very well for Jose up until now. Whereas when he goes to take out the commander, who is dressed in like a bit of like a cloak kind of thing, what he realizes is that he actually ends up killing the sergeant who was used as, like I said, part of the puppet ploy in this frame. So because a lot of the soldiers knew a bit about this plan, they kind of, acted upon it in a way to kind of, over exaggerate. Oh my gosh, Jose, what have you done? How could you kill him? And, Jose's saying, no, like, I didn't know this was this soldier. But basically, yeah, he didn't know, he had no idea. But they knew, because they've been working secretly with Ray Johnson. So, Raymond Johnson. So then, as we move on forward, Ray Johnson has a trial with Jose, because after basically he kills that sergeant, he now has to go on a trial to kind of, confess, or, not confess, but, break down what happened, and he obviously tries to explain his point of view. Unfortunately, the person who he has on trial is the same person who framed him, which is Ray Johnson. And Ray Johnson, of course, has an agenda. So even though Jose's trying to say, "Yo, like, this wasn't me. Like, I had nothing to do. I didn't know." He's really upset about this. He's stressing out. He's like, "Why was there a friendly commander behind enemy lines dressed in a cloak like that, looking like he's a commander? Like, this is an outrage. This is ridiculous." So, he's trying to explain his point, and no one's listening. No one's listening, of course, because like I said, Ray Johnson's got his agenda. So no one's listening. Soldiers aren't listening. All the military leaders were, at this point, agreed that, well, yeah, we're not going to pay what he thinks no mind, because they all agreed that they're going to frame him. So this is where he ends up, unfortunately. But as he gets charged, because that's what happens, basically, he ends up being charged for the murder. And because of it, he gets stripped of his title as a general, and gets put in incarceration for 25 years. Of course, he tried to argue his point, but no one's listening at this point. Gets taken away to the cells. But William Armstrong, who was a fan of Jose, who respects him, actually sets him free. So when he gets set free now, Jose's really, really confused. So I'm losing storage. Jose's really, really confused about this. He doesn't know, like, anything outside of being a soldier. So he's just like, pondering like, what am I going to do with myself? Like, all I've known is about soldier life. But, William Armstrong, even though he doesn't have much time, tries to encourage him, say, look, like, just focus on living right now. Keep your head down, keep your head low, and don't go home, which is, of course, Jamaica. He said, don't go home right now because that's the first place they're going to be looking for you. So anyway, after he leaves his cells, he plans an escape and escapes the military base, which then leads us to the first issue of what you will know when he is in the mountains in his kind of like samurai kind of outfit gi. That leads up to that point. And then the rest, you know, is of course history as long as you've read the books. I'll break that part down again another time, but I wanted to kind of talk about like what's going to happen, moving forward with the pages of the military years. And that's kind of like the big summary of everything that more so happens. Of course, I've missed out some details here and there. You know, I don't want to, reveal everything yet. But that's pretty much what happens in the military years so far. So, and that's going to give you guys, like I said, a lot more understanding of Ozai, his drive, what pushes him, and how he ends up in the future as well. So, like, what the man he turns out to be is based upon what happened to him in those military years. And there's much more to tell, but that's as much as I'm going to say so far. The rest, you'll have to read, But yeah, so a lot's going to happen to Ozai, moving forward. His story's a sad one, and I wanted it like that. I wanted it to be initially like a really sad, tragic tale, which of course leads into a much bigger story. So yeah, that's that. That's basically what happens during, like I said, military years. When he goes into the future, of course, that's when, I'll tell you a little bit about that. That's when he's going to become basically he's going to work for an underground organization, which I'm not going to talk about yet, but he's going to be working for them as like a mercenary, or hired assassin / mercenary. But again, that will be more for the future. I'll talk about that another time. So anyway, I've been on this for a little while. So I hope that kind of, gives you a little bit more insight. Please, check out the story, check out the first issue, which is fully officially released. Check out www.anniebeats.co.uk. That's where I will have most of my content and additional content. Check out my social medias, of course. Instagram is the one I use the most, but I am on Facebook, I am on Twitter, I am on YouTube, and I'm setting up a Discord as well. And the last thing I'll mention is I will be setting up a Kickstarter and Patreon soon as well. So please get involved in that, because a lot of what I've done is through my own pocket. And I do need support because, I can't keep always funding it from my own pocket. It is quite financially stressful. And I would really appreciate your support, especially if you like the story and everything, yeah? So that's most of it for now. Animation's coming as well. So again, support with the animation, because animation is very expensive. But yeah, I've got a fight scene between Ozai and Makanda that's almost done. And then I'm going to have also another proper full-on trailer showing like different clips of the kind of Righteous Warriors world. You'll see some clips of like the military years, some clips of, him when he was in the mountains and with the sword coming down, which you've seen anyway, but it's all going to tie in together. And then there's going to be a little bit of the future as well when he's in London, and the whole kind of dystopian city and everything that happens there. So yeah, man, loads to check out. So make sure you keep up to date with all of my social media, and fire out any questions at me, and I'll be happy to answer. My email is Reno, RENOGTK@gmail.com. You can send me any questions there, or of course just send me a message on any of the social medias as well. All right. Peace, people. Stay righteous. And, man, we'll talk again soon.